Hi, Michael and Middleton here, concluding my reading of Get Real, The Pitfall of a Cultural Christianity. If this is the first in this video series you're running across, I will allow you to scan the back of the book here, just pause and get a kind of a thumbnail view of the topic of this book. And then I will do the reading for today, which is concluding the book with something that's common practice of mine. I write a lot of poetry and prose. This is just a few very topical prose selections relating to the teaching part of this book, and that'll be how I conclude this reading of this particular title. A poet at heart, please allow me to conclude this small foray into matters which really matter with a few of my favorite selections. Chains. A love eternal, unsearchably vast. A passion divine, spilling itself with abandon upon tiny creatures who crawl around a pale blue-green ball, addicted to sorrow. The shackles of grief and confusion, their dearest friends. The chains of shame which tear the soul keep their heads bowed low, embracing the dust and filth, spending their full measure of affection on that which enslaves and consumes. Finally, love can bear no more. He who is above all, who holds all of creation within his hand, spends the last desperate measure of devotion. The author of eternity steps down into time, enfolding himself into the very form and appearance of fallen man. Radiance and power which would shame a billion suns hides itself behind a veil of flesh, invading the darkened land. Now face to face with the very object of his love, that veil is torn, and light breaks free. Chains dissolve, darkness flees. Clay. I am nothing, empty, a void waiting to be filled. Time, space, and potential, a blank page waiting eagerly upon the grand designer to render some useful scheme, to breathe new light and music into the dark silence. I had fancied myself the potter, but I am but clay. As with Adam, dear and sovereign Lord, lay your hand upon me. Shape me to your good pleasure, and impart to me that eternal essence, that spark which with time grows into a glorious dawn of purposeful joy. Grant me the fierce grace to lie silent and still as your all-knowing skill prods and pokes and tears and transforms, until I at last take on the true expression of your faultless design. The title of that one is Clay, if I forgot to mention it. New every morning. Ancient twisted oaks stand somber as creamy orange light spills across the frosted meadow, sparkling like the night sky. Stripped of distractions, I sit silent and still, embracing the rude essentials. The sparrow, the lilies of the field. I begin to understand God at the root, in his elemental presence, independent of mortal perception. Love, mercy, serenity. All of these he simply is, radiating life and blessing, regardless of whether we open ourselves to receive it. Joy and simplicity. These are his eternal essence. Like the warmth of sunrise after a cold night, it is sure and certain, and could not be otherwise. Grace alone. Beauty, chaos, creation, decay, order, destruction, rage, serenity, fear, hope, despair, and renewal, all tied up together like some great cosmic knot. This is the world as we have made it, a fabled treasure hidden somewhere within the briar. Every joy fades, and every pleasure has a price. Everything we build perseveres for but a fleeting season, before time and circumstance scatters it to the wind. What bitter fruit was spawned in Eden when we first chose to disbelieve? Its dark seed has grown throughout the ages to confuse and choke the simplicity which was always the sovereign's plan. We sweat and toil and bleed, trying to meet some nameless need, and know too late that we never can. For the garden was grace, and grace alone redeems. It was not for toil, but for love that he fashioned man. Mystery. Though the sky be dark, still I cling to your awesome name. I plead of thee, King and Lord of all, glorify thyself through this frail frame. I lift and lift and lift my hands, longing to embrace. Still you, O Lord, O mighty one of heaven, must stoop low to receive my praise. Singing, shouting, and spilling forth rivers of anthems sweet, I raise my voice in tumult to thee, still muster no more than a trickle at your feet. Yet low you bend down to your knee, drinking deep my love. In mystery so grand, so vast, so deep, infinity embraces the finite, leaving throne above. Leaving glorious dominion dark captives to free, spilling into the night with holy vengeance, that dark captives might shine as thee. Echoes of Tomorrow. There's a new world coming, beyond the flames of ignorance and greed, beyond the cries of despair and the schemes of hateful men. Do you hear it? Can you hear the trumpet's voice and the song of Moses and of the Lamb? Do you hear the joyful shouts of the redeemed, echoes of tomorrow? Can you hear the approaching hoofbeats pulsing faster, 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 like the heartbeat of a lovesick God half mad with passion for his bride? Can you sense, do you know the fire in his eyes? The fires of passion and rage, ready in an instant to pour out vengeance upon the destroyer of men's souls. There's a new world coming, and the heavens will soon pass away at the voice of his command. And one final reading, Secrets. Like many of these, this was one that was kind of downloaded directly into me from God, who flowed into my mind and out through the pen faster than I could think even. But this is just a very special one. It gives a real insight into God's heart and eternity, in that place where he is the all in all, and his true heart towards creation. I'll leave it at that. Secrets. In a time after time's end, he ascends above all things to that place where he alone dwells. He bears a lonely sorrow shielded from all other hearts, a gnawing grief of shattered hopes held for those who would not be reached. The fullness of all glory secretly weeps. Hope you've been blessed by this reading. Information in the description down below.